Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be reviewing Ernest Hemingway's A Farewell to Arms. Now I know that I promised I would do Chandler's The Big Sleep, but I got settled into bed with my hot tea and everything. It was all comfy and realized I'd left that book downstairs, and so I read what I had at hand. And that's great because I like Hemingway. He's a good writer. So the story is a love story. It's about the protagonist, Frederick Henry, and his love interest, Catherine Barclay. The backdrop is the First World War. However, this is not, in my opinion, a war novel. It's not like you would find in something like All Quiet on the Western Front or something like that. One of the things that people talk about on this novel, and I'll talk about it, is how it closely parallels a certain aspect of Hemingway's life. So if you don't know, Ernest Hemingway volunteered to be an ambulance driver in the First World War before America got involved in the war. He was injured and he convalesced at a hospital, and there he kind of fell in love or had a big crush on one of the nurses. So he took these basic elements and he wove them into this story. And that means that his descriptions, and remember it's Hemingway, he writes really good descriptions. But his descriptions have a real strong basis in his own personal reality. And that gives this novel and the descriptions of the war and the descriptions of the smells and the feelings and what people think about a lot of realism. However, my only criticism is, and it's not really a criticism, you have to remember this book was written in the late 1920s, and the people would have been reading it in the 30s for the most part. And so the dramatic elements that propel the story forward about his relationship with Catherine and things that happen on the battlefront are not as shocking to a modern reader as they were back, say, in the 20s and 30s. So remember, that's post or pre Second World War, it's pre-Korean War, and most importantly, I think, for modern readers, it's pre the Vietnam War. So these things that really don't shock us anymore at the time he was writing would have had more impact upon his readers. But that said, you can still enjoy the novel for those dramatic points, and you still get a lot out of it, and it's worth reading. Like I said earlier when I talked about Hemingway, it's just a lesson in how to write. So, I love the way that he does descriptive paragraphs. I love the truth behind it. I love the way that he does dialogue, so it's not all cluttered up, and I wish I was half as good as that. Now, I am going to talk a little bit more specific about the plot just because there's an artistic thing in there that I'd like to point out, which he does occasionally throughout the course of the novel. So if you're aware that he does this in some scenes, then you might get more appreciation out of the novel as a whole. So I'm going to give a spoiler. So here. Okay, lets you turn it off if you want to. I'm going to talk about two scenes kind of loosely. And what he's doing, he's juxtaposing two scenes to show the absurdity of war, the absurdity of life, who lives and who dies, when and why, and what the causes are, the absurdity of the legal systems, of military law, and all that stuff. Kind of the randomness of the universe with no rhyme or reason. And one of the ways that he does this is juxtaposing scenes. So in example one, scene number one, he's part of the retreat from Caporetto, which the Italian army falls, and they all retreat, and eventually I think the Italians leave the war after that. But during that retreat, he orders a soldier, now he's a lieutenant, Frederick is a lieutenant, I'm not talking Hemingway, Frederick, the protagonist, orders a soldier to do something. The soldier refuses, and Frederick chases the soldier down and executes him summarily, just shoots him, kills him. Now, we as a reader know that the order that was given could not have been followed through. It would have made no difference in the course of events, and that's kind of what that action is kind of absurd in and of itself. Now, to increase that absurdity, a couple scenes later, the exact same thing almost happens to the protagonist. He's randomly selected for no particular reason, he's almost executed, but he manages to escape. And this is Hemingway using artistic juxtaposition of scenes to show the random meaninglessness of life and how life is unfair, etc. And I think that is probably the theme of this novel. If I had to pick a theme, the theme is not warfare. The theme is not, great love and all that stuff. The theme is really, for me, is this random nature. Nature and the world and the universe doesn't care about the human condition and what we think is important. Our laws and our lifestyles, our opinions, our morality, good versus bad, who wins, who loses. Things just happen. Fair or not fair, they happen. And so when you read through this book, I think if you look for that as a theme, you'll see it repeated multiple times throughout the plot. So yes, I do recommend you read this book. And yes, I am going to read Raymond Chandler's The Big Sleep next. It's actually sitting on the bench below me. And thank you very much for stopping by. Oh, by the way, I've got some great news. My latest novel, it's a collection of novellas, really, 4 novellas, was just released. So it's populating through all the systems today, and it's called Origins, a Dryden Universe collection. And I'm really excited about that. It was a 3-year project, and it's finally done. So great news for me, and I hope you guys check it out and you enjoy it. So anyway, thanks for stopping by, and we will see you next time.